Hello, this is a preview for the open source photography course. It's not a full lesson, but it should give you an idea of what the video tutorials are like in the course itself. If you'd like to learn more about the course, or if you'd like to save 50% by pre-ordering, head over to rileybrandt.com/lessons. So when we start making adjustments, personally I'm mostly doing it by eye, just looking at the image itself. But we do have some really helpful tools here. In the top right, we have the histogram, and we'll definitely look at that in a minute. And then in the bottom right, if you push this icon here, you're going to get warnings for overexposed and underexposed parts of the image. So right away, you can see that the sky is overexposed a bit, and the book is as well down here. So I'm going to start on my base curves, and I'm going to look at the presets. It's defaulted to the Canon alternate. So I might try the Nikon, sometimes I like that. So that added a bit more contrast to the image. Really didn't help me out much with the overexposure. So maybe I'll go to one of the other presets. We'll try the first Canon one. And that helps out a bit. So the book's not overexposed anymore, and some of the sky has been cleaned up as well. As I mentioned, all I'm really looking for in the base curve is just a nice starting point, and I'm fine with that there. So if I moved on to my exposure, I could look up in the top right at the histogram. And what you're really looking at the white part of the histogram, the white wave. And if that goes outside the image here to the right, it means it's overexposed. If it's going off to the left, it's going to be too black, too underexposed in the dark areas. So as I hover over exposure and I use my mouse wheel, you're going to see that both the histogram is moving to the left, and we're also getting rid of some of these overexposed highlights up there. So I can keep going, and right there. That's about perfect. The sky's not overexposed anymore. And the histogram's just where I want it, where it's just touching the edge, but it's not over. I could adjust the blacks here as well. You can see that that white point isn't quite to the edge. So if I want to add a little more contrast, I could increase those blacks there. So if I come over, as I said, I usually start on levels, or people who are new to photography should start on levels. If you're a little more experienced, you're probably going to be using the curves. But I'll see what we can do with the levels here. I could start increasing my midtones here, because that's what this area is down here, where we have all the trees, the bushes, and the people. Those are the midtones, and that's what I want to brighten up. So as you can see, as I do that, it's great. This part's getting brighter, but my sky is getting overexposed. So if I had the option, I would slide this more to the right to fix those highlights, but I can't because I'm limited in the levels. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to the tone curve and make my adjustments there. If you wanted to, I mean, you could do it in the levels and just a little bit overexposed isn't a horrible thing in the sky, but really that's up to you. And we can do it a little bit better. So I'm going to move over to the tone curve. When I turn this on, I just eyeball it sometimes, but like I said, the eyedropper is very helpful. So I'm going to click here somewhere on the grass. That's going to be my mid-tone point. I'm going to take that and bring it up till I find an exposure I'm happy with here. So maybe about there in the mid-tones, it's brightened it up quite a bit. And as you probably noticed at the same time, as I brought up this mid-tone point, it's also increased my highlights up here at the top of the curve, which is causing that to be overexposed again. And before, where I couldn't fix that in the levels, I can actually fix that now in the tone curve. If I click on that, I know that right here near the top right is represented there, so I can add a node, click, and just drag down just a touch. Doesn't even need to be a lot, and that's gotten rid of that overexposed area. If I want to add a little more contrast, maybe I could click on the black shirt, or sometimes I like in this kind of trees area, getting the shadows there, and maybe just bring that down just a touch. Actually, I might even go back up, just a little tweak. You can get a little really picky there. But if I turn that on and off, you can see the tone curve, it's made a big difference in the image. So just to review, I started off with the base curve, and I switched a preset that cleared up some of the overexposure for me, gave me a good starting point. I moved on to the exposure, and I worked with the histogram, brought it down so nothing was overexposed, and we did increase the blacks a little bit. The levels, it was an option, didn't work out, so instead I went right to the tone curves, and that's where I've got the image here. I'd probably carry on to increase the saturation and do other changes, but that's the exposure and the tonality fixed.